I'm excited to kick off this conversation by asking a question that every lifter wrestles with at some point. Should you spend your hard-earned money on pre-workout supplements or stick with basics? In this session, we'll look at the cost of these products and weigh the promised boosts in energy, focus, and pump against what really drives progress. Proper sleep, solid nutrition, and training consistency. AOF Supplements takes an evidence-based approach, so we'll use research to determine when a pre-workout investment pays dividends and when it's better to channel your resources into foundational habits. By the end, you'll know how to evaluate your own return on investment and prioritize what matters most. With that goal in mind, let's dive into the dilemma many lifters face. For many gym goers, the lure of a brightly colored tub promising explosive energy, razor-sharp focus, and skin-splitting pumps is hard to resist. Brands craft narratives that make these products seem indispensable. But do you really need them? The pre-workout dilemma is about more than marketing. It's about understanding your personal needs, your goals, and your current lifestyle. Our objective today is to strip away the hype and look at the benefits these formulas offer. Then compare them to the power of fundamentals like restful sleep, balanced meals, and proper training volume. When you weigh the claims against what actually moves the needle, you might find that your money could be better spent elsewhere. To answer the question of necessity, we need to examine the pillars that truly support athletic performance. Before we talk about any specific ingredients, it's important to anchor ourselves in the fundamentals. Consistent, quality sleep, a diet rich in whole foods, and an appropriate training volume are the real engines of progress. Studies show that even a single week of sleep deprivation can raise cortisol by roughly a fifth and drop testosterone by nearly a quarter, creating an environment that undercuts muscle growth and recovery. No pill or powder can counteract the hormonal and metabolic effects of chronic stress, poor nutrition, or erratic workouts. Supplements are just that. Supplemental, they can add a finishing touch once you've built a strong base. So as we move forward, keep in mind that no fancy formula can replace disciplined recovery and adequate macros. Next, we'll look at how to quantify the value of a pre-workout. Let's put some numbers behind the marketing claims. A tub of pre-workout often costs between $1 and $3 per serving, and single-use packets can be twice that. When you're hitting the gym 4 to 6 times a week, that expense adds up quickly. To decide whether it's worth it, we need to think in terms of return on investment. How much performance improvement are you getting for every dollar spent? Performance ROI isn't a precise calculation, but it helps frame your decision. If a supplement makes you feel 10% stronger but costs $90 a month, does that make more sense than investing the same amount in high-quality food or a massage to aid recovery? Understanding this ratio sets the stage for evaluating individual ingredients, starting with the most common stimulant of all, caffeine. Caffeine is the backbone of most pre-workouts, and for good reason. Research shows that doses of 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight can boost mean velocity and power, elevate alertness, and even lower your perception of effort. For a 70-kilogram lifter, that's about 200 to 400 milligrams, a range that's easily achieved with a strong cup of coffee or a scoop of your favorite powder. The benefits are real, but they're not infinite. If you consume high doses every day, your body adapts, diminishing the acute effects and increasing the risk of jitters or disrupted sleep. So caffeine can be an effective tool when used strategically, but it's not a magic bullet. Next, we'll talk about pump ingredients like citrulline and nitrates that aim to expand blood vessels and enhance endurance. Beyond caffeine, many formulas include compounds designed to enhance blood flow and create that coveted pump. L-citrulline is a prime example. Taken in doses of 4 to 9 grams, it converts to arginine in the body and increases nitric oxide production, helping to widen blood vessels. Increased blood flow means more oxygen and nutrients to working muscles, which can delay fatigue during high-rep sets and make your muscles feel fuller. Dietary nitrates, often delivered through beetroot extracts, work via a similar nitric oxide pathway and have been shown to improve endurance performance. While these ingredients won't turn a mediocre workout into a masterpiece, they can add a noticeable edge for athletes pushing through long sessions. Next up, we'll examine beta-alanine, which targets a different limiting factor, muscle acidity. Beta-alanine is often marketed as the tingling ingredient, but its real value lies in raising muscle carnosine levels. Carnosine acts as a buffer against the hydrogen ions that accumulate during high-intensity exercise, helping to maintain pH levels and delay fatigue. To see benefits, research suggests taking 2 to 6 grams per day for at least 4 weeks. Beta-alanine isn't an immediate performance booster. It's most useful for efforts lasting 1 to 10 minutes, such as repeated sprints or high-rep hypertrophy sets. Evidence for direct strength gains is limited, but some lifters report improved training volume once their muscles are better able to handle metabolic stress. Keep that long-term perspective in mind as we move on to creatine and the controversy around multi-ingredient blends. Creatine monohydrate is one of the most proven supplements in sports nutrition. Taken consistently at 3 to 5 grams per day, it saturates your muscles with high-energy phosphocreatine and supports repeated bouts of strength and power. Unlike caffeine or citrulline, creatine doesn't deliver a same-day boost. You have to accumulate it over a week or two to see measurable benefits. Many pre-workouts bundle creatine with a long list of other ingredients, promising a synergistic effect. The reality is that these formulas are often underdosed and cost much more than buying creatine on its own. When you consider that a plain tub of creatine costs pennies per serving and delivers clear strength gains, the cost-benefit analysis for multi-ingredient blends becomes less attractive. This contrast brings us to the broader question of acute versus chronic effects. One of the key distinctions in supplement timing is between acute and chronic effects. Ingredients like caffeine and citrulline work almost immediately to enhance power output, endurance, or perceived energy. Others, such as creatine and beta-alanine, require daily dosing over weeks to accumulate in your muscles and exert their benefits. Understanding this difference helps manage expectations. A scoop of powder might make you feel more awake today, but long-term muscle building still depends on consistent training and fueling. The performance gains from acute ingredients are often small, but can add up for advanced lifters. However, they won't build muscle or strength without heavy lifting and good nutrition. With that context, let's discuss scenarios when pre-workouts are genuinely worth the investment. If you're an experienced lifter training 4 to 6 days per week with high volume and intensity, small advantages can accumulate into meaningful results. When you're doing hundreds of hard sets each month, a few extra reps or a little less fatigue in each session can translate into more muscle stimulation over time. Pre-workouts can help you maintain focus and output during the last third of a tough session, when fatigue normally sets in. For athletes operating near their performance ceiling, those marginal gains can be enough to break through a plateau. In these situations, the cost may be justified because the cumulative benefit aligns with serious training ambition. Now, let's consider how well-dialed basics and specific circumstances like energy deficits influence the decision. Pre-workouts can also be worthwhile when you already have your basics in order. If you consistently sleep 7 to 9 hours, eat balanced meals, and stay hydrated, you have the foundation to make use of a small performance boost. Cutting phases or early morning workouts can leave you feeling depleted because glycogen stores are low. In these cases, a modest dose of around 3 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram can help you maintain intensity without overdoing it. Timing matters here. Taking stimulants too late in the day can interfere with sleep, undermining the very recovery you're trying to enhance. When used judiciously, a targeted pre-workout dose can bridge energy gaps without compromising the long game. Now let's look at competitive contexts where marginal gains carry extra weight. For competitive athletes, the margin between winning and losing can be razor thin. When you're chasing a personal record or vying for a podium spot, a 1 or 2% performance increase can decide the outcome. Pre-workouts can provide that extra edge when used alongside structured periodization and diligent recovery monitoring. It's important to recognize that these benefits come at a cost, both financially and in the form of reliance on stimulants. As you push closer to your genetic ceiling, gains become harder and more expensive to achieve. If you choose to use pre-workouts in this context, treat them as one tool among many in a broader strategy that includes progressive overload, deload weeks, and proper nutrition. With the high-performance scenarios covered, let's turn our attention to when pre-workouts are unnecessary. If you're new to strength training or only train 2 or 3 times per week, the best pre-workout isn't in a tub, it's solid coaching and disciplined practice. Early improvements come from neuromuscular adaptations and better movement patterns, not from stimulants. Adding a pre-workout too early can mask fatigue, making it harder to learn your body's signals and to gauge when you need rest. At low training volumes, there simply isn't enough accumulated work for a small performance boost to matter. Invest your resources in learning proper form, establishing a routine, and gradually increasing volume. Once those fundamentals are locked in, you can revisit the idea of supplementation. Next, we'll discuss why no amount of stimulants can compensate for poor sleep and nutrition. One of the most common mistakes is reaching for stimulants to prop up a body that's running on empty. Lack of sleep can spike cortisol, reduce testosterone, and impair the very anabolic processes you're trying to harness in the gym. Similarly, inadequate carbohydrate and protein intake deprives your muscles of the fuel and building blocks they need to perform and recover. In a catabolic environment, a scoop of pre-workout simply can't overcome the hormonal headwinds. Instead, prioritize getting 7 to 9 hours of high-quality sleep and fueling with balanced meals rich in complex carbs, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Once those variables are controlled, then you can evaluate whether a supplement provides additional value. We'll extend this resource perspective in the next slide. Budget is an often overlooked factor in supplementation. At $1.50 to $3 per scoop, pre-workouts can easily add up to hundreds of dollars per year if you train regularly. Meanwhile, creatine monohydrate costs pennies per serving and delivers proven long-term strength gains. That money might also be better spent on higher quality food, a knowledgeable coach, a gym membership, or environmental upgrades like blackout curtains that improve your sleep. Every dollar you allocate to a stimulant is a dollar you're not investing elsewhere. Take a hard look at your annual supplement spend and ask whether you could achieve equal or greater performance improvements by investing in fundamentals. Next, we'll examine the monthly impact and hidden costs you might overlook. When you do the math, the monthly cost of pre-workouts can be eye-opening. If you train 4 times a week and use a pre-workout each session, you're spending $32 to $64 per month. At 6 sessions per week, that number climbs to nearly $100. Some formulas underdose key ingredients or hide their amounts behind proprietary blends, meaning you might not even be getting what you pay for. Reputable brands that invest in third-party testing charge more to ensure label accuracy, further increasing your costs. Compare this with the price of protein powder, creatine, or even whole foods like meat and vegetables, and you may find better ways to stretch your nutrition budget. Understanding these numbers sets up a discussion about return on investment and diminishing returns. To formalize our cost-benefit analysis, we can think of performance ROI as the performance gain divided by cost multiplied by 100. Sleep, nutrition, and structured training deliver the highest returns because they directly enhance recovery and adaptation. Pre-workouts tend to add just 5 to 10% when your fundamentals are already at 80% or better. The closer you get to your genetic potential, the more money and effort you have to invest for ever smaller gains. Recognizing this diminishing return helps you allocate resources wisely. Instead of chasing the latest exotic stimulant blend, double down on the basics that move the needle. We'll now explore more cost-effective alternatives that can provide similar benefits without the high price tag. You don't need a proprietary blend to experience the benefits of caffeine and creatine. A cup of black coffee contains roughly 80 to 120 milligrams of caffeine and costs only a few cents. Adjusting the serving size to reach around 3 milligrams per kilogram of body weight delivers similar improvements in alertness and power output to most pre-workout formulas. For strength and hypertrophy, creatine monohydrate remains a gold standard. Taking 3 to 5 grams per day supports muscle saturation and costs just pennies per dose. By separating these ingredients from flashy multi-ingredient mixes, you gain control over dosing and dramatically reduce costs. But pre-workouts aren't the only alternative. Fueling your body with carbohydrates and employing effective warm-ups can also make a big difference. For many athletes, a simple carbohydrate snack and a thoughtful warm-up routine can provide the energy and focus you're seeking. Carbs like fruit, oats, and honey refill glycogen stores and supply immediate fuel for endurance. A yogurt parfait with berries or a smoothie blended with oats and honey can be consumed 30 to 90 minutes before training to top off your energy without causing a sugar crash. Dynamic warm-ups activate the nervous system, lubricate joints, and reduce injury risk. Breathing exercises or brief mindfulness sessions help regulate arousal and sharpen mental focus. These techniques cost very little but can significantly enhance your performance. Next, we'll offer specific snack ideas that combine convenience with fuel. Let's get specific about pre-workout nutrition. Greek yogurt paired with fresh fruit delivers a blend of protein and fast-acting carbohydrates. A fruit smoothie made with oats and a drizzle of honey offers both rapid and sustained energy. A banana with a tablespoon of peanut butter balances simple carbs with healthy fats, offering a slower release of fuel. The key is to choose a snack that sits well with your digestive system and to time it according to your tolerance, anywhere from half an hour to 2 hours before training. These options supply the energy your muscles need without resorting to stimulants, and they can be adjusted based on personal preference and caloric needs. Now let's bring these considerations together with a decision matrix. A useful way to decide is to apply a decision matrix. Invest in a pre-workout if you're training at high volume, have your basics dialed in, are working through an energy deficit, or preparing for competition where marginal gains matter. On the other hand, save your money if you're a beginner, train infrequently, struggle with sleep and nutrition, or have inconsistent habits. The matrix also asks you to assess your natural energy levels and budget. If you already feel enthusiastic and energized going into most workouts, a pre-workout may provide little additional benefit. Use this framework as your circumstances evolve, revisiting the decision as your goals and lifestyle change. Finally, we'll wrap up with the main lessons. In closing, remember that pre-workout supplements are tools for marginal gains, not shortcuts to success. Sleep, nutrition, and training are the foundation of any athletic progress, and no stimulant can replace them. If you choose to invest in a pre-workout, do so only after your basics are well established. Look for products with transparent ingredient labels and clinically supported dosages. Always question whether the promised benefits justify the cost and consider more economical alternatives like coffee, creatine, or carbohydrate snacks. Ultimately, build a strong engine by prioritizing recovery and fueling, then add the turbocharger when you truly need it. That mindset will ensure you get the most out of both your supplements and your training.